Welcome guys to an episode with the Doomed Hell. Today we're going to be reviewing a brand new keyboard that I just bought. So about a year ago I bought this Rosewell RK9000 V2, which is a USB and PS2 keyboard, which can be switched out using a micro USB port right here. So I can remove this, put in a PS2 to a micro USB cable, or I could, use a bypass, kind of like this one right here. That's your bypass, and when the keyboard detects that, it could just go into that mode, so I don't have to worry about that. But a problem arrived. Basically, my next computer will no longer have PS2. So I can either not get a very powerful computer, get a motherboard that doesn't have Thunderbolt, for instance, or I could go with like a Z590 board, which was originally my intention, but realized that I kind of want to get into the 12900K ES bundle deal because they're about $200 right now. So I decided to go with a new keyboard that I will be using as a full-time, and this is the Corsair Vengeance brand K90. So this is one of the original K90 boards they ever made. It's a very nice, lengthened with multiple macros keyboard that is very clean. It's definitely of my kind of era of gaming, just like the Rosewell. So that was around like 2012 to 2014, 2015. And this keyboard has a lot of advantages over the Rosewell, and I'll get into that. Sorry about my voice here. It was kind of a thunderstorm and I was in a small jacket. So let's start off with the advantages of my Rosewell and why I went with that one. This one is a PS2 keyboard. It runs 200 hertz polling rate, which means it's quite fast. It is, relatively one of the fastest on the market in terms of polling rate and in terms of just like data speed. Now, on top of that, it is a Cherry MX Red keyboard. So originally I thought I was going to get a brown. So sorry about that. I thought I was gonna get a brown, but in the end I got a red, which is a lot better in a lot of cases. And you can tell it's a red because of the escape key here, which originally I thought was a fake, was just like an added key, but in fact this is how they look stock. I didn't get a USB, and at the beginning I didn't get a PS2 cord, and then I recently realized I could just run it in PS2 mode with a bypass, so that works out for me. But again, running this in USB mode is actually kind of slow compared to some other keyboards, and I absolutely wanted to run something that had NKRO support or something very high KRO. And so I stumbled onto this keyboard, which in the forums they were talking about, and the reason why they were talking about it so much was because of this. This has two USB keyboards. The first one is for the keyboard in HID mode, and the second one is for the keyboard in USB BIOS mode. And so what that allows you to do is it allows you to run very fast latency and with very high KRO. So this has 18 KRO over the regular 4, 6, 9 KROs that are pretty standard. Some people have 12, but not many people have 8. And so let's look at some of the other advantages of this keyboard. Well, actually, let's look at the wear of this keyboard first. So I don't know if you could see this, but the keyboard has a bit of a glare, and some of the keys have like kind of like a glue material. Yeah, you can kind of see it there, a glue material on them. So that's kind of weird. And some of the keys obviously are a little knocked. They're a little uneven. This keyboard definitely got a lot of usage, which is totally fine for me. But another thing I noticed is the space bar is put on backwards. You can kind of see that if I go like that. The the space bar is put on backwards, so it's got this funky kind of thing where all the keys are put on one way, and then the space bar is just put on randomly, right? So I'm definitely going to change that. So this guy probably cleaned this keyboard a couple times. I see some gunk under the keys as well. But yeah, this keyboard is an LED keyboard, so that's quite an advantage over PS2. PS2 you can't even get that. It's got nice media keys that are actually pretty useful, especially this one right here. I always wanted a keyboard with this kind of like magnetic or semi-magnetic metal moving part, and that's just a Corsair thing. I really like that. Then I got some media keys, so these are for the LEDs, I believe. And then here I got a Windows lock, which is also something you can't really get on the Windows the PS2 keyboards. So this keyboard is also a Cherry MX Red, but it is a more quiet one. My other one is a little bit more mushy. Actually, this one is a little louder actually, but it's got that nice mechanical feel, versus my other one is kind of like an old school mechanical feel. I prefer the Rose Roll overall, but the Corsair definitely has that Corsair feel, that Cherry MX Speed kind of feel that you get in the later keyboards. But yeah, the elephant in the room, the actual elephant in the room, is the extra macros. So these macros are pretty cool. They feel to be actually membranes, if you hear that. Right, that sounds like membrane to me. But that's totally fine, because really the point of this is to get your game on when it comes to macros. So in CS, for instance, these macros are going to be super important, because I'll be able to line up my frags. I'll be able to have a buy menu right here, my 6 buys, or even my 12 buys if I really wanted to. And another aspect that a lot of people don't realize is I play a lot of poker, and in poker it's just not fun using like your whole keyboard, but getting kind of your hands located onto the macros, you can actually get quite a lot of keys pressed at the same time, keys that you would usually have to program within each website. Instead of doing that, I could just program my macros and not have to worry about it. So that's really cool. So overall, I really got this keyboard because it served more purposes. So I could have these macros set up for whatever I need, because I have it's LED, which allows me to see stuff at night. It's been kind of an issue with the PS2 keyboard, and a handful of instances, not necessarily a big thing, but really the biggest thing is that I needed a USB keyboard that was very, very fast, just as fast or even faster than my Rosewell. So this one is supposedly a 1000 hertz polling rate keyboard. That's definitely going to be faster than the regular keyboards that I usually deal with, and it's likely going to be faster than the PS2 keyboard that's been even overclocked. I strongly believe that it will be the case. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I'm going to clean this keyboard, get it all nice and tidied up, make sure that this spacebar is put on the right way. Honestly, I'm starting to believe that maybe he did this for maybe for the game of his choice. Maybe it was better for LOL, but in CS it just doesn't make any sense. And I'm gonna try it out on Quake and CS2 and see how it feels. Thank you guys, have a great day.